Hello everyone, this is Steve. We're going to complete the square to find zeros of a quadratic in this video. So we are told to solve negative x squared plus 10x equals 18. This one looks a little bit different than some of the other ones we might see. One thing is that it's not equal to 0. That's because we've already had the constant 18 moved over to the other side. That's okay. And we're tempted to just sort of start completing the square right away, but the big problem here with this one is we have a negative sign in front of the x squared. And that's no good. We cannot complete the square unless it's just a positive 1 in front of the x squared. So normally we divide by whatever number's in front. With this one, you can actually divide or multiply both sides by negative 1. So if we multiply everything by negative 1, and when I say everything, I mean both sides, then we end up with x squared minus 10x equals minus 18. And we already have the constant over on the right-hand side, the minus 18, so we're in really good shape. We just needed to make sure that we had that positive 1 in front of x squared. All right, so now actually comes the completing the square process, where we observe the number that is in front of not the x squared, but the x. It's very tempting to say the number in front of x is 10. But that's not correct, because the answer in front of the x is actually going to be negative 10. And then we cut that number in half, negative 5, and we square it, 25. And we add 25 to both sides. So I'm going to get x squared minus 10x plus 25. Negative 18 plus 25 is 7. Now people ask me sometimes, Steve, if I'm just going to square the negative 5 anyway and get 25, why does it matter that I observed that it was negative? Well, it matters because this negative 5 right here actually helps us factor the left-hand side of the equation. Because it's a perfect square, so we know it's going to look something like this, and it's going to have an x right here, and we use that minus 5 right here. So if you'd written 10 instead of negative 10, then you might think it's plus 5, not minus 5. So make sure you bring the sign, the negative sign, along with you. Okay, so we have x minus 5 squared equals 7. So now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of x minus 5 squared plus or minus the square root of 7. Don't forget your plus minus on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, the square root and the squared cancel each other out. That's why we took the square root of both sides. And unfortunately, square root of 7, while it's a valid real number, it's an irrational number. So we really don't try to simplify that any further, and we just go ahead and add a 5 to both sides. So now we're looking at this and we're saying, are we done? And we actually are done. Our two answers to this problem are x equals 5 plus the square root of 7 and x equals 5 minus the square root of 7. And we get two irrational but still real zeros. So these do correspond to x-intercepts if we were to graph this quadratic, because they are not imaginary numbers. Thank you for watching.